Hey guys, Ken Maxfield, the Hide Guy. Due to some technical difficulties, we're having to re-video our weekly blog for the week ending February the 22nd. So we'll give it another shot here. Last week saw big packers enter the week with offer lists that were unchanged with the week prior. In fact, probably the last 2-3 weeks. This despite the popular opinion of the trade that there had been pretty poor sales. In fact, many people would say sales have been pretty poor since the middle of January. But that said, packers left their list unchanged, both in the types of hides offered as well as the number of hides offered, as well as asking prices. As far as interest last week, sources share that it was an improvement over the past few weeks, but if you look back to the week before Lunar New Year, the week of the holiday, and the week after, the bar has been set pretty low, so anything would really be an improvement. But that said, sources are telling me that any efforts to try to improve upon the last traded levels were met with a considerable amount of resistance from buyers, while those buyers trying to bid lower than the last established trading levels were adamantly refused by packers. So long story short, it appears that, trading levels last week were steady, but the consensus of the trade is the number of hides exchanging hands, although it's been better than the last 2-3 weeks, it probably is not clearing what is even the lowest slaughter of the year so far, which last week came in at 576, by the way. So as it pertains to cowhides, we are told that producers entered the week with lists that were unchanged. The sentiment of the trade is that as a group, that maybe processors on cowhides are sold a little better than big packer hides. No need for them to take lower prices, although offer lists were relatively unchanged with the past 2-3 weeks, just like the packers. Those looking for more money met a lot of resistance from people who were buying. The only exception may be heavy native dairy cows, but overall any other selections that were being touted at higher levels were meeting resistance from buyers. That said, efforts to push prices lower were refused by the processors, and at the end of the day, we're going to call prices trading levels steady. However, the volumes just were not there. Again, just like big packer hides, yes, it was better than the last 2 to 3 weeks, but again, the bar was set very low, so that wasn't that big of an accomplishment. The USDA last week caught up on their export report, and those numbers were very interesting as we're pulling them up here as we're talking to you. That report was their big catch-up, where this was including 6 weeks of sales, so that now moving forward, each report will be for the week prior like it was prior to our government closing. The report showed about 2,300,000 2,200,000 wet salted hides sold, about 900,000 wet blue hides sold. If you throw in 150,000 for the U.S. domestic soak, 6 weeks times 25,000 every week. Long story short, with the kill being 4 million during the same time frame, there's about 700 million hides that have been produced in 2019 that haven't been sold. So whether you want to put part of them as wet blue, the majority of them is wet salted, all of them wet salted, doesn't matter. We're of the opinion, there's a pretty sizable overhang of unsold hides here in the United States. Taking time to go around the globe, of course, the big news in Europe last week was the Linnipel Fair, which we attended. We were very impressed. Our first time at that fair. Some of the booths are just works of art. The craftsmanship, the design, it's impressive. The size of some of the booths were just amazing. As far as what we saw those exhibiting leather showing off vibrant, bright colors, looking as if they're trying to target some of that synthetic business with some heavy embossed prints. So overall, talking to a number of people, it seemed like the very positive atmosphere, lots of sampling, lots of excitement. So let's keep our fingers crossed that that's going to result in some business for the spring, summer fashions of next year. Took some time to go over to the synthetic side. They were very busy as well, doing their normal thing, and they're definitely going to be competition for us going forward. So those of us in the trade, or those selling and for the especially, are going to have to be creative in how they're going to keep pace and not lose any more market share to synthetics. As far as the market's concerned, most people are saying that the lighter weight materials holding steady. Bull's still a problem due to the lackluster automotive demand. Ox heifers, mixed bag. Some guys saying that they have to take lower, but refusing to take anything substantially lower, wanting to try to negotiate and only take minimal down. So you decide there as to how you want to decipher that. Going down to Brazil, our friends down there are saying that the situation is not improving. Reports from the CICB that they release every week are now calling prices of fresh hides 1 reais to 110. Our sources tell us if you're able to take some sizable volumes, you're able to buy at levels lower than a reais. Some people have even made comment, if you're willing to take a straight table run, you can almost write your whatever you want to pay on the contract. So keep an eye on that one. Sales on wet blue, again, depends on how many you're buying, when you can ship them. TR1's 55 to 60 cents. There's rumblings of maybe some lower prices, but that pretty much catches that. Looking over at Australia, our friends are telling us they're seeing an improvement in interest. The good news for them is that due to a very wet summer, that their overall harvest numbers are a little lower than levels of a year ago, so they're able to keep their prices steady. Some guys will tell you they're getting more money, but that seems to be the exception to the rule. It's just that people aren't having to take any less money there. So as we look ahead to this week, considering we really haven't seen that great of sales since the middle of January, we continue to lean on the opinion that we're likely to see some interest here, either this week, next week. That said, I think there's still a number of hides that are unsold. I question if producers are going to be able to hold the market together before we all go to Hong Kong here the middle of next month. That said, you're going to start seeing some people leave at the end of this week to go visit customers. So are they going to want to put some hides in their pocket and want to make some business that, face to face? So those are all going to be some variables that are going to play into the market. I think we're going to see a few more cattle harvested this week in the States. That 577 is likely to probably be the lowest of the year, being a non-holiday week. But end of the day, I think the upside of this market remains very minimal at best. I think if prices are going to change, we're going to see prices move lower before they move higher. So that's it for this week. Ken Maxfield, the Hide Guy. Check out my website, www.themaxfieldreport.com. I do offer free 14-day trials on the website. Scroll down to the bottom and click on that button. Until then, we will see you next week. See ya.